When Laura Putnam enrolled her 1- and 2-year-old sons at Apple Blossom Childcare in Falmouth, Maine, she never thought they'd be given melatonin supplements. They mimic a hormone that makes you sleepy. Have you ever given your children melatonin?
No.
Have you ever given anyone else permission to give melatonin to your children?
No.
But last August, Putnam says she learned from a former daycare employee that he and others had been giving children, including her older son, then 4 years old, melatonin gummies. Conversations between that employee and the daycare owner documented in these texts. So she asked her older son.
He said, "Oh, it makes the babies go," and then he made a snoring sound. And he told me he got them when he was younger and they made him very sleepy. And then I asked if his younger brother got them, and he looked at me and said, yes. And I said, how often does he get them? And he said, every day.
What did your younger son say when he saw a photo of a bottle of the gummies?
He immediately saw it and said, and then he inserted the name of the daycare provider.
In Maine, it's not illegal to give melatonin to kids, but daycares need written parent permission to do it. Maine's Department of Health and Human Services launched an investigation looking into abuse, neglect, and licensing violations. 4 months later, Putnam says she was informed her older son was a victim of abuse and neglect.
I think I felt that, I let my kids down.
Lindsay Corcoran says her daughter was also at the daycare from age 1 to almost 4. And she also learned from the former employee that her daughter received melatonin, too.
At first, I was shocked to see her name and that there was this substance given to her without my consent.
But last month, DHHS overturned its findings of abuse and neglect after an appeal. Daycare owner Allison Lakin saying in part to NBC, Apple Blossom Childcare has earned and enjoyed an impeccable reputation for years, which has been and always will be based on conscientious care. She's also appealing the findings that she violated daycare licensing rules. When you look at the decision right now, what goes through your mind?
Again, it's maddening. It's nonsensical. How is giving a nonverbal toddler melatonin in the middle of the day without parental consent not abuse or neglect? It doesn't make any sense in my mind.
Researchers say melatonin use is on the rise in kids. While parents should consult a doctor, pediatrician Rebecca Fisk doesn't recommend melatonin use in kids under 5.
We have no long-term studies on what is going on with melatonin in children, especially that young. We don't know what it does to growth and development.
Is there any place for a melatonin supplement in a daycare?
Not at all. Not at all.
Just last year, childcare staff in New Hampshire, Washington, and Indiana made headlines for giving melatonin to children. One daycare director sentenced to 6 months in jail.
We need to protect kids, and parents need to be informed.
Maine State Senator Teresa Peirce is introducing a bill that would require daycare operators to notify parents if their center is under investigation. So what happens now is if there's an investigation at a daycare, other parents with children there have no way of knowing?
Correct. So it would be through rumor or through other parents telling them, but there's no official notification of that.
The moms say they want stiffer penalties, and until then, parents need to know what can happen.
I would like to see some repercussions for mistreating children, and I don't feel like that has happened in my case.
I felt like I put a lot of trust in sending my children to this daycare. We lost a lot of trust in the end. And I don't want that to have to happen to any other families, to children.
All right, Vicki joins us now in studio. So, Vicki, I mean, this is sort of a tough question, right? Because you're dealing with toddlers and babies. How do you know if your child's going to a daycare where they're giving them melatonin?
It is so tough to detect, obviously, Tom. That's why these moms feel so bad. They didn't know for months that their kids were getting these gummies. So here's what I would say. Talk to your children. Ask them. What do they receive at nap time? Ask them the kinds of snacks and foods that they are getting. And here's another red flag. If your child doesn't sleep on the weekends, but you're hearing every day they're going down for 2 hours at the daycare, something might be wrong. Here's what I'd also say. Make sure there's a written record of the medicines and over-the-counter supplements that you do approve. If your child is feeling bad, you probably are okay with them getting a children's Tylenol or some Motrin, right? So you want to talk to the daycare owner, but also ask your kids.
Real quick, what are some of the sort of best practices when finding and picking a daycare?
Word of mouth referrals, do your research on the reviews, and look up that daycare with the state licensing agency. Check for violations or any investigations that are underway.
What websites usually are those, the state license?
So
just go to
every
your
state
state
is
gov?
different, but it probably is going to be under Department of Health and Human Services, or just look up daycare licensing in your state, and it'll lead you to the right .gov address. And just make sure if you feel something is wrong, investigate. Listen to your gut as a parent.
Vicki Nguyen, great story. We appreciate that. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.